Hello everyone and welcome to PrepSports Weekly. This week we will take a look at the high school football action from Clarksville in the Middle Tennessee area from this past week. We will also have highlights, scores, and previews for the next week's action of games. It's all right here now on PrepSports Weekly.
Hello everybody, and thanks for joining us on PrepSports Weekly. I'm your host, Bree Houston, alongside my co-host, Ashton Rich. Thanks for joining us. We'll jump right into it. We'll take you to the upset of the week, and Blaine Keller has more on the Rossview and Mount Juliet matchup.
Rossview celebrated their homecoming in a big way on Friday, October 2nd, defeating the Mount Juliet Bears 22-14. The Bears were a perfect 5-0 heading into the contest and struck first in the affair, Jamari Sowell delivering a red zone rushing touchdown within the game's first minute of action. Outside of a deep catch along the sideline by Rossview's Samuel Harding, both offenses would be hushed throughout the remainder of the first quarter. Mount Juliet kicker Connor Kowalski had an opportunity to extend his team's lead to 10 moments before the break, but missed on a 37-yard field goal attempt. Hawks quarterback Garrett Diemel progressed thoroughly in the second half. Despite Diemel having minimal rushing support, the sophomore found a way to keep Rossview in the game. A 14-0 deficit in the third frame may have been curtains for the Bears, if not for a high snap that allowed Aaron Bolster to score his first of 2 touchdowns on the evening. Mount Juliet turned the ball over on downs and punted in their final 2 possessions, giving the Hawks a prime opportunity to both tie the game and go for the lead. Diemel delivered on both drives, the former a play-action pass in the red zone to Brendan Rushing, and the latter a 35-yard scoring strike to Bolster for the lead. Bolster would call his own number on the point-after attempt, diving into the end zone from the Bears' sideline to give Rossview an 8-point advantage. An interception from Samuel Harding clinched the win for the Hawks. Rossview head coach Todd Hood credited his team's defensive performance for the win.
We knew if we played hard and played smart, we'd have an opportunity to knock them off. Our defense has been playing phenomenal all year, and then the way they played tonight was another huge detriment. It was just huge to them and trying to make plays, and they did.
The Hawks defense has allowed an average of 8 points per game during their 4-game winning streak. The Hawks improved to 4-1 on the season with the win and look to carry their momentum into next week's matchup at home against Lipscomb Academy. From Rossview High School, this has been Blaine Keller with PrepSport Weekly.
Thanks, Blaine. Bree, anytime you can get a big win on homecoming and an upset at the same time, you're really feeling good about yourself as a team and where you're going for the season. Now let's go out towards Cunningham and take a look at what happened at Montgomery Central this past Friday.
The Montgomery Central Indians played host to the Greenbrier Bobcats on Friday night. The Bobcats took the game 21-0 as the Indians struggled to get anything going on the offensive end. The Bobcats took the lead late in the first quarter with a great special teams play as DJ Jackson blocks a punt and Stoney Smith recovers it for the touchdown. The score holds at 7-0 until right before half as the Bobcats finish off the drive with a quarterback sneak as Braxton Laney runs it in to make it 14-0 at halftime. Neither team could get anything going in the second half until the Bobcats get a turnover and take advantage as Kelby Steele breaks through for the long touchdown run to make it 21-0 in the middle of the fourth to extend their lead. Here's what head coach Jeffrey Tomlinson had to say about his team's performance after the game. Other than a couple of big plays by them tonight and a couple of miscues on your side of the ball, how do you feel about your team's effort?
Well, defensively we're playing great. I mean, we got to get them off the field. Our offense has got to sustain drives better, and that's what I told the players is right now we're not very good on offense, and we've got to get better offensively, which will in turn help the defense be that much better.
And a year like we've had this year, how important is it is it to you to see your team out there playing and competing in front of fans on their home field, especially those seniors for the last time?
Yeah, it's every week you never know what's going to happen. So you're just thankful that every time we get to step on this field that we get to play the game of football, which is, it's the greatest game there is, and we're thankful for every Friday.
When we come back, we'll have more scores from around Middle Tennessee. You're watching Prep Sports on APSU-TV.
College can be hard, and sometimes life can be even harder. That's why Austin Peay offers counseling services for students in need of help. Whether it's mental health, relationship advice, or even having someone just to vent to, counseling services are available. All you have to do is call 221-6162 or stop by their office in the Art Building and begin finding your way back to wellness. For more information about student counseling services, check out our Facebook page at WAPXFM 91.9.
Welcome back, everybody. Coming up right now, we'll take a look at what happened between Kenwood and West Creek this past week.
On Friday, the Kenwood Knights took the short 3-mile drive up Peachers Mill Road and paid a visit to rival West Creek on homecoming night. Seats were all sold out for the contest as Coyote fans looked for the team to get their first district win of the season. But the Knights had other plans. Kenwood spoiled the party early after taking a quick 14-0 lead after 2 quick scores by senior running back T-Shawn Miles. On their next drive, after getting deep into Kenwood territory for the first time, quarterback T'Anthony Wagner was picked off by linebacker Kellum Williams. This halted all momentum that the Coyotes had. Just as they had on their 2 previous possessions, Kenwood capped off their drive with a rushing touchdown, this time by running back Jeremy Smith. Kenwood's running game was virtually unstoppable all night long, as a trio of Miles, Smith, and quarterback Jalen Washington would surpass 300 yards on the ground and account for 5 of the Knights' 6 touchdowns on the evening. On a 4th and 5 play, down 28-0, T'Anthony Wagner was able to scramble past numerous Knight defenders and find Charles Hutchinson in the end zone, who made a spectacular grab to put his team on the board. The Knights answered right back with a score of their own on a quarterback sneak from Washington for his second rushing score of the game. With the loss, West Creek suffers their 2nd straight defeat by 30 or more, and head coach of the Coyotes, James Figueroa, said the team needs to work on the little things more than anything else.
Shot ourselves, the holding, and just the little things, that we can control, and we're not doing that. That's the big thing right there, We got to do a better job shooting ourselves with the small things, Yeah, there's a couple holding calls, and it happens. But those are little things. We get off to the score, and we don't take advantage of it. We get inside the hole right here, we can't punch it in. Just I'm kind of frustrated with it. But we got some football games to play. It's going to get harder. Just like I told our players, you can drop your head and But we keep fighting, so I hope this team fights.
Right.
You know, hats off to Kenwood. They make the plays that they need to, and tonight they made the plays, and we just did it.
With the 42-12 final, West Creek falls to 0-3 in districts play and will have their work cut out for them next week as they travel to Henry County to face off against the 3-0 Patriots. Kenwood improves to 2-2 in region play and will travel to Clarksville High to face off against the 0-3 Wildcats. From West Creek High School, this has been Alex Allard with Prep Sports Weekly.
Thanks, Alex. And like you said, West Creek looking to bounce back next week against the Patriots of Henry County. Probably going to be a tall task for them, but, you know, it's 2020, anything can happen. So let's go out to Clarksville High School and take a look at what happened between them and the Eagles of Northeast.
We always just, with CHS, we always have to expect a well-coached, physical team. And you also never know what Coach Shelby has up his sleeve. He might throw some formations at you that you've never seen before, just trying to get your defense out of line. So we worked on fundamentals, and we worked on some stuff that we saw last year to try to be prepared for them. And we're just trying to play loose tonight and have fun. It's a perfect night for high school football, so you know, hopefully it works out in our advantage.
We just play a week at a time. We like scheduling those really good teams non-district, and we get them early, and we feel like it makes our team better for later in the year. They know this game is always physical. This game's been physical since I think 1983 or something like that. It's just one of those deals. So they know that. We don't really have to talk that much up to them.
Just trying to help my team out. This is a big win for us. Good win, getting us into the playoffs. We can't slack around in practice. We got to practice how we're gonna play.
You know, we have a great team of guys, great coaching staff. The biggest thing is Coach Clark's emphasized all year, most important play is the next play. So we come out fired up, ready for whatever they're going to throw at us. We're getting a lot better discipline-wise, and we are very, very well prepared each and every week, and that goes back to our coaches and our kids buying in. You know, we've got the momentum right now. We're 4-0 in our region, pursuing, wanting to meet up with Henry County in 3 weeks for region championship, and that's been our guys' focus all year long. And I think going into a game with Northwest, who's got a lot to prove, being on the same side of town, it's the same mentality of we're focused on what happens next, not looking back, not looking forward.
Big win for Northeast in that one. They really are looking good this year, and next week, big matchup between them and Henry County. So let's take a look at the scoreboard from this past week, week 7 of high school football action in Tennessee. And Bree, as you can see, Rossview High School, Mount Juliet, the big upset we were talking about, Clarksville Academy absolutely demolished by Davidson Academy, real powerhouse in Nashville. Greenbrier High School taking care of business, as we saw, against Montgomery Central. And then Kenwood kind of taking it to West Creek a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of good games here. Then you have Northeast High School. They took on, as we just saw, Clarksville, which was nominated as the game of the week for Clarksville. Actually, the game of the year. Everybody was super excited for this game. Dyer County High School took on Northwest, and they got the victory. So these scores opened some eyes. You know, some teams were exposed. Some teams were able to hold on to their reputation, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's kind of indicative of the Clarksville High School score. You know, they had a really good offensive line last year. They had a bunch of guys on that line that are playing college ball now, or you know, wherever they're at, and you know, it's tough to replace, you know, when you graduate 3 or 4 guys on the offensive line. So really kind of a rebuilding year there for Coach Shelby at Clarksville High School. But the big one for me here is Kenwood and West Creek. Like we said, they're both kind of at the bottom of their respective district, and you know, Kenwood kind of showing like, hey, we're not at the bottom of this district. We're just as good as some of the other guys. Yeah,
well, they say every team has this any given Sunday, right? So any team, any day can come out and play up to their opponent. So you never want to just write off any team. But the biggest game here for me was the Rossview versus Mount Juliet. Mount Juliet came into this matchup undefeated, 5-0, 2-0 in their region. No one was really looking for Rossview to win. Actually, I read a few articles and everyone predicted Rossview to lose. So it has to feel good to be the underdog and come out on top and actually beat this team. You mentioned David and Goliath earlier. This was kind of like that matchup. Everybody thought Rossview was little David with the 5 stones or whatever, and Mount Juliet was the big monster that no one could defeat because they're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, they're tougher, but Rossview expose them, if you would.
Yeah, I mean, Rossview, not the first time they've won an upset this year, right? I mean, they took care of business against Northeast a few weeks back. But, Bree, you get to sit in on Friday nights and do your radio show. That's why we've got you here today, as you're the expert on high school football in the area. So let's take a look inside the studio of what you do on Friday nights.
Hi, my name is Bree Houston. I'm the host here on the Final Score on 105.5 The Bull, 103.9 The Bear. We are basically responsible for getting everybody in Middle Tennessee the high school scores. We do a bunch of research before the games, during the game sometimes, a lot of times after the games, trying to get the scores so we can get them out to the listeners. It's me and my co-host Clay Conley. We work very diligently to get those scores. Our show airs every Friday night at 9:30, 9 o'clock, 9:45. It's depending on what time the show ahead of us finish. Basically what we have right here is we have the switcher or the production board. We have a way to connect our guests through telephone. We have the host mic, which is this. We have a guest mic. We have control over the automated system, which is up here. We can play music from YouTube. We can play music from different places. And then we have this computer down here, which we get our sponsors from. We get sponsors from different businesses, local businesses that we have to make sure that we say. So we do sponsor spots. We have guests from different outsources, if you will, to call into the show. People from Main Street, Clarksville. We have people from different PA announcers, people from West Creek, and just different teams all over. And then we are starting to incorporate a game of the week where we try to get in contact with either one of the coaches from that game. We want people at home, the people who contribute to the show, to listen, to go to our Twitter page and vote, which is, by the way, 931 Final Score, at 931 Final Score. If you like high school football, let us know, and we would love to hear you on our show.
Hey guys, so I'm Clay Conley. I am the co-host with Bree Houston during Final Score, and so I'm going to show you a little bit of what I do during the show with a lot of prep and stuff. So as you'll see, I have this big whiteboard with me, and every week I pick out games that are interesting. Like our game of the week this week was Northeast versus Clarksville High. So I always put that at our top corner. And then these other scores are just around like the Montgomery County area, or just scores I think the listeners would be interested in. And so every week I pull up scores off of maxpreps.com and Coach T, and I basically update them throughout the show. And I give a little ad lib here and there to Bree with our guests that come on through the phone wires. But that's pretty much what I do, and that's pretty much how the show runs behind the scenes. It's just a big whiteboard, so it's kind of crazy.
That surprised you tonight?
I would say the Northeast Clarksville game, because it was our game of the week, and I thought it would be a lot more closer than a 30-point victory by Northeast.
Yeah, it was our game of the week here at the Final Score. That was an inside look of what I get to do on Friday night. Clay and I have a blast talking about football. Ashton, for a minute, we were all scared that we weren't going to have a high school football season. So we're definitely grateful that we're able to continue talking about sports and football.
Yeah, and it was really a source of a lot of stress over the summer for me, because I live for football season year round.
Yes.
That's all I do is study football, high school, college, NFL. You might even catch me watching a little Canadian football every here and there, just because there's a few Austin Peay players that play on a couple Canadian teams. But yeah, like you said, we didn't know if we were going to have football, and it's certainly a blessing that we do. But you know, we got a sneak peek of the scoreboard there on the package from you and Clay. Coming up here on Prep Sports Weekly, we will talk about those standings. You're watching Prep Sports Weekly on APSU-TV.
You're looking at me in the future. Okay.
Hi, Isaac.
Hi.
Wait a second. Do Do you know who I am?
Julia.
This is Jaina. Into the future. I just wanted to talk to you about what happened with those 2 girls.
Oh, yeah?
Do you remember it was this girl that I was getting bullied by that one day at PE when they were like yelling at me, and then you just linked arms with me? I don't think you know how much like that helped me, because like I finally like knew that I had somebody. Because of you, Isaac, and what you did for me years ago, I grew up to be more independent and love myself and just be a little bit more confident.
Aw, I'm like a little tearing up right now. Just to see her in the future just blossom and look beautiful, and that was really amazing.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Or maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all. If I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Welcome back to Prep Sports Weekly. Now that we've gotten a look at all the action from this past Friday, let's take a look at the standings for the regions of the area teams. Starting out, we've got Region 7 in the 5A, and that red line you see on the screen is the cutoff line. That is the cutoff for playoffs. And as you can see, Kenwood getting that big win this week, coming in just above the line for playoffs.
Yeah, they really needed that one, and I'm pretty sure that it was a surprise to some, but that was what they were banking on.
Northwest and Henry County, the class of the region, as we've already discussed. All right, next one up, Region 4 in 6A. As you can see, Rossview High School, they're at the top despite, like we said, got a couple big wins, couple upsets. Mount Juliet right there underneath them, but Station Camp and Wilson Central, tough seasons for them so far.
I do believe the Mount Juliet win helped Rossview to get into the second spot in their region.
Absolutely. Moving on to Region 5 in the 4A division. We've got Creekwood at the top. Springfield, they will take on Montgomery Central this week at home, coming up the bottom, or right under them, sorry. And at the bottom, you can see right under that line, the Montgomery Central Indians coming in below the playoffs right now.
Yeah, Creekwood really just doing whatever they want in
taking
their
care of
region.
business.
Yeah, 7-0, 3-0 in the region. Basically, they right there on ticket.
All right, and let's move on to the West region of the Division II in Tennessee. As you can see, Jackson Christian, USJ, we've got a little experience with those teams. They're at the top. Davidson Academy coming in right beneath them. Trinity Christian just sneaking into the playoffs. And the 2 teams we'll see this week at Clarksville Academy, Tipton Rosemark and Clarksville Academy coming in below that playoff line.
That's right. 3 Jackson teams are in the top 4, which is pretty amazing. Davidson County, they're known to win championships. They have that winning mentality there in Nashville. They really know how to perform as a winning team.
Absolutely. Now that we've gone through and shown you the standings as they sit for each region in high school football as it pertains to the Clarksville area, let's get into some of the previews for this week's game. So first up, Thursday night football, not Friday night football, but we've got Lipscomb Academy taking on Rossview. Bree, Rossview, as we've said, they've already come up with a couple upsets this year. The last time out, Lipscomb took care of business 35-0. How do you see this one going?
I'm going to go with Rossview just because they got that last win and momentum is on their side. Whenever a team like this is an underdog and they have momentum, they're going to live off of that last win, and it could take them far. So I'm going Rossview by 7.
Absolutely. Both teams are 4-0 in their last 4. Rossview sophomore quarterback Garrett Deemel playing well this year. All right, next up, Kenwood at Clarksville. Last time out, Clarksville taking care of business last year, 57-7. Kenwood, this year they kind of just had to win with a steady dose of Jalen Washington and Tashawn Miles. And like we mentioned, Clarksville rebuilding after a up year on the O-line.
I'm definitely going with Clarksville in this win. Kenwood's last win just wasn't convincing enough for me. I know that I just talked about momentum, but I think Clarksville wins this one at least by 14.
I'm with you. Kenwood in their losses this year, 10 points per game. In their wins, 51 points per game. So moving on, Tipton Rosemark Academy at Clarksville Academy. Last time out, last year, the Cougars getting the victory 21-14. Both teams are only one win on the season, and really both teams struggling on offense, both of them averaging less than 10 points per game on offense. Could be an old school defensive battle.
I'm going to go with Tipton Rosemark in this matchup. Last week, Clarksville Academy struggled against Davidson. It was 49-0. They barely scored at halftime, finishing the game a lot to a little. I like Tipton Rosemark in this one by 14.
I'm with you. Tough season for the Cougars. All right, next up, Montgomery Central at Springfield High School. Last time, Montgomery Central got the win, 13-10 at their place. Springfield's averaging 34 points per game this year, but that ball control offense mixed with the defense for Montgomery Central, holding opponents to less than 21 in each of their games.
I'm going to go with Montgomery Central. I like their style of play, their style of offense. So I think maybe at this time of the season, even though it has been condensed and shortened due to COVID, I think Montgomery Central will have some things start to click for them.
All right, we mentioned David and Goliath earlier. This week's iteration of David and Goliath, West Creek at Henry County. Last time out, Patriots taking it to them, 52-6. West Creek, they're only averaging about 12 points per game. The closest region game Henry County's played this year was a 42-14 victory. They've yet to allow 20 points in conference play. How do you see this one going, Bree?
Bible-wise, David. But here, I'm going with Goliath because Henry County, they have been unstoppable all year. Yes, they have the 2 in the lose column, but they're unstoppable. They're great. They're physical. They know how to play. They have that team chemistry because they've been playing together so long. I just see Henry County winning this by at least 20.
Absolutely. Now, moving on to our game of the week, Northeast High School at Northwest. Now, Bree, this one, battle of the inner cities, so to speak, same side of the city, just on opposite sides. Northeast taking care of business last year, 18-7. And let's hear what Vikings coach Neil Furnish had to say about this one.
We played them last year. It was a really good game last year. These kids know each other. Our kids know who Northeast is. There's no doubt about that. And hopefully we, get on the game field and there's no fear, and it's an equal field that we're playing and trying to, win the game.
You're trying to create a culture change. You're trying to create a mindset. So do you feel like this could be a game that propels y'all going forward and trying to make a run at the end of the season?
Right. I mean, that's just, this high school kids and their mentality and mindsets can change overnight. It can all change in the split second. And, if these kids are feeling success, and that's the difference in developing the culture of winning. You cannot, when you get down, you can't just let it all crumble in front of you. You got to find a way to, get back up and be successful. And that's where we're trying to change the most with our young men is, some people call it front runners. Some people, it's just the ability to face adversity and get through it and keep moving forward.
All right, Bree, we're running short on time this week, but real quick, who do you got?
Northeast all the way without a question.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say that I'm also going with Northeast in this one. They're just playing much better. They have an absolute monster at running back. Thank you for joining us for the first inaugural episode of Prep Sports Weekly. We hope to see you back here more for some high school football action. You're watching APSU-TV.